I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, time for one of my motivational blogs. I like to do these every 5 or 6 weeks. These are the blogs I enjoy doing the most, where I can kind of impart some of my 30 years plus experience and help you guys learn from what I've been doing for the last 30 years, how to become financially independent, live off your passive income flows. As I've blogged about many times, the secret to success that I learned a long time ago is your attitude. You've got to be positive, can-do, optimistic. There's no middle ground here. And so I want to cover a bunch of topics here. We'll rapid fire a whole bunch of stuff. I might meander around a little bit, but it's a new year, it's 2020, so let's hit you with a good motivational blog here. Now, while I was away on vacation, I'm reading all the annual year in review from Barron's Magazine and Wall Street Journal and Fortune and all those other ones. So as you know, it's been a banner year financially in the stock markets. S&P 500 up about 26% for 2019. S&P or TSX up about 19.5%. Those aren't including dividends, so you can add another 3 or 4% on top of those returns in dividends if you've got companies that pay a dividend. I mean, just offhand here, Apple up almost 100%. Remember those blogs I was doing last Christmas? You could have picked up Apple at about $142 a share is where it hit. Lots of doom and gloom on there about Apple and how the iPhones aren't selling anymore. Just garbage. Just short sellers, people that are putting out propaganda. Unfortunately, a lot of people listen to this stuff. They sell low, and they get spooked instead of just holding good quality companies like I've always told you to do. It's a really simple formula that will guarantee you'll become a multimillionaire. It's how I became a multimillionaire at a pretty relatively young age, if you've read my book, and I didn't do anything fancy. My blog here, why I do this, is a pay it forward thing for me, as I know most of my loyal viewers know. I want to help people, and that's why I put this out here, to try and get more people out there earning money passively through real estate and stocks, and how I did it. But Apple up, Apple's now trading at close to $300. So if you bought $100 in Apple, you're now worth $200. It's doubled. Another funny, there's been some real sleepers this year in the S&P 500. One of them that surprises a lot of people, Apple up 100%, everyone knows that one. But would you believe that Target, the retailer, the department store Target, is run by a really young, smart CEO by the name of Cornell? And I've owned Target for a number of years. There's been some dark clouds with Target over the years because, of course, Amazon is going to put all these guys out of business. But Target, including the dividend for 2019, is up almost 110%. It beat Apple. And people would be, I think, very surprised by that. But, this is what buying and holding good companies will do. I've got many companies in 2019 that were up, some biotech stuff, some pharma, that were up 60, 70, 80% on the year, plus the dividends. But a lot of them, it wasn't in a straight line, as I've often told people. There's always dark clouds with these companies. Walmart was up 35%, Target up. A lot of these companies were beaten down a few years ago. But, as long as the fundamentals of the company don't change, they're still creating cash flows, they're still got good management, keep these companies. Because a lot of the times, these good companies are always going to run into some choppy seas. Just like Apple has over the years. Look at what Apple stock has done. There's been some tremendous buying opportunities over the years where the stock has been beaten down. A lot of people sell it, give up on it, say its best days are behind it. Just look at the comments I've got on my YouTube channel with my Apple purchases over the years. But yet it just keeps continually rising. It's kind of the same thing with Vancouver real estate. Looking back now, as predicted, I have always told people that Vancouver will get these what we call run-of-the-mill corrections. They're very normal and they should be expected. They generally run from 5 to 15%, these pullbacks, and they're usually pretty short-lived, a year, 18 months. Now, I don't know for certain, but it looks like, the so-called or minor run-of-the-mill correction we had in 2018 into early 2019 is kind of behind us. And it turns out it's about a 5% correction on condos, maybe about 10 or 12% on detached homes, and now it looks like it's recovered. Very normal, folks. You should be expecting this. I've lost count of how many of these run-of-the-mill corrections we've had in Vancouver real estate over the last 30 plus years I've been in this business. But your attitude is everything. But the thing back to the stock market is, I still read these articles and see on the news of how few Americans and Canadians have participated in this incredible bull market we've had for the last almost decade in U.S. and equities. And this is why I do this blog. You've got to get your money working for you, investing it. You know, there's not enough working hours in the day. You've got to save 10, 15, 20% of your income and put it into vehicles that will not only appreciate, but even better, pay you to hold them. Real estate and stocks, good dividend-paying stocks, are the two best ways. But of course, many people were spooked with the crash back in 2008 and 2009, lost some money, sold their stock, and have never gotten back into it. And that scares me, because you have no hope of earning your way to retirement. It's not going to work for you. You will not be able to retire. Or if you are, you're going to be living on pork and beans and toast. You have to put your money away into assets that will appreciate. Real estate and stocks are the two best ways. But remember, you have to get comfortable with short-term volatility. The market, it would be beautiful if the market bought a stock or bought a piece of property and it went up indefinitely for 30 years and never looked back. But that's not the way it works. That's the price you have to pay to get these superior returns and earn the passive income. You have to get comfortable with buying a house and it goes down 100 grand 2 years later. Or buying a one-bedroom condo and it goes down $30,000 18 months from now. Or pulling the trigger on Apple stock at 300 and it goes down to 280 a week later. That's what these vehicles are going to do. They're volatile. But if you keep them for the long term, hold them, monitor them, you are going to do incredible. Keep a positive attitude. And I tell people as well, these passive vehicles, that's what makes them so great. You don't have to spend a lot of time with them. It's set it and forget it. Or in my book, what I talk about, the ghost ship to wealth. Nobody's running the ship. You buy the shares, you buy the properties, and then set them out to sea and let time do its thing. And then you can concentrate on you, getting better at your career, moving up the corporate ladder, getting better, you getting a side hustle, saving more money. And then, of course, enjoying time with your wife and your family and your friends, having fun. That's what this is all about. I'm here to try and help you guys. I know most of my loyal followers know that. And I think what sets me apart from a lot of the bloggers out there is I've been there and done it. And I'm trying to give you guys the practical knowledge here. It's not theory. This is stuff that I've done for the last 35 years, and I've learned from the best. And I promised a lot of these guys that helped me that I would pay this forward when I got to a certain level. And I enjoy doing it. That's the first thing. I think as most people know. I enjoy my work as a realtor. I get up every morning excited, and that's what you have to have in life as well. I talk about a year ago, and I'm going to do another update on the FIRE movement because I get a lot of people that ask me about it. And you know, one of the things that I don't like about the FIRE movement is people tend to shrink instead of growing on the FIRE movement. Most of them have jobs instead of careers, and they dread going into their 9-to-5 job. You know, life becomes a lot sweeter when you get into a career that you enjoy, you get up for. That old saying, you know, you get into a job or a career that you have passion for and love, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's the way it is. You've got to try and find that. That'll help you a great deal. You know, and a final thing I'll say here, you know, the bar, I still think, is set low for a lot of people. I know people, it's not easy out there, and it's not easy living in Vancouver. It's tough. You're going to have to make some sacrifices. You're going to have to work, but it can be done. But in a lot of ways, you know, the opportunities are probably more now than I have ever seen. A lot of people comment here, you had it easy, Owen, because you were buying real estate 30 years ago. Well, yeah, property prices were a lot less, but I was also paying 17-18% mortgage rates. And on the investing side, I mean, it's night and day now. Investing in the stock market now is 10 times better than when I started out. I used to have to put my money and buy my shares through a broker. I was also in the early years stuck with high-paid mutual funds instead of these low-cost ETFs. Now I trade and buy stocks for free. And I've got all the data that even the institutional traders have. But on that note, again, don't play the game of trading. A lot of people don't realize that small individual, what we call mom and pop investors, have a huge advantage over the big institutional investors. I talk about it in my book. And that's just to buy good quality companies and hold on to them. Don't trade in and out of stocks. Avoid paying the capital gains and taxation on those stocks. Avoid the commissions buying and selling. Just buy good quality companies, or, and better for most people, just buy the index, buy the S&P 500 and just tuck it away and keep buying more. That will do everything it's going to need for 90% of you. Final thing I want to leave you guys with was something. I was in New York for Christmas having dinner with a couple of my longtime friends and mentors, and one of them mentioned to me a video that had a big impact on me that I forgot about. I mean, I think I mentioned it 3 or 4 years ago, but I should start plugging this more and more. I want people to go on to YouTube and search The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. If you go into YouTube, there's probably 10 or 15 versions of it. The version, I think, is probably about 40 minutes long. This is a video that it's actually not even a video, it's just an audio tape. I think it was done in around the 1950s. I won't give you too much details on it, but for my young viewers are of all ages, if you want to get a little motivation, see how kind of what one of the big influences on me when I was in my teens, because that's when I was introduced to this tape, probably when I was about 18 years old, and it had a big impact on my thinking, the positive attitude, how nothing is given to you. You're not entitled to anything. You're not entitled to buy a condo here in Vancouver because you were born and raised here. That's not how the world works. You're going to have to work for it. But go on. I'll post. I'll put it in my text here as well. I think it'll have a big impact on people. What I suggest people do is listen to it once a day for 3 days straight, and then keep it in your folder there, and periodically go back to it. I just listened to it twice over the Christmas vacation, and it's probably been 4 or 5 years since I've listened to it. Incredible tape, very clean, easy to understand, and I think it will be a good motivational video for a lot of people on how life works. Life is what you put into it, nothing more, nothing less. If you're going to be a doer or a don'ter, there's no middle ground. You're either positive, want to get ahead, want to take action, want to put your future in your own hands and work for it, or you're gonna sit back and play video games and vape marijuana. That's really what it boils down to. And if you want to live in a city like Vancouver and buy your first place or buy an investment unit, retire comfortably and live a comfortable lifestyle, or retire early, it can all be done. It's all yours for the taking. You could build a $5 or $6 million stock and real estate portfolio. In my opinion, if you put the work in and start at a young enough age, it's not that tough. Your competition is limited, as my friends in New York often tell me. Your competition, a lot of them are doing the vaping and watching video games. So in a lot of ways, that bar is set pretty low if you put the work in. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thank you for subscribing to my video blog over the last 9 years now, as we move into 2020 now. If you haven't joined my YouTube channel, please do. I want to thank everyone as well for buying my book in 2019 and giving me the nice reviews you have on my book on Amazon. I'll see you next week.